Should you draft Mark Andrews in fantasy football this year? Well, let's talk about it. Mark Andrews reminds me a lot of playing as Wolverine in Marvel Rivals, because you're clearly exploiting something that's broken, but it's working out anyway. Andrews was god-awful to start last season. He strung together a series of sub-5-point performances with a couple goose eggs thrown in there. And this was after he was going as a top 3 tight end prospect and a 4th rounder. However, I'm not ready to give up on Andrews, even though I gave up on him mid-season last year, because I saw firsthand him turn it around and make me wish I had not dropped him. Andrews kind of just, I think he might have just had a bad, a statistically improbable start where nothing went his way. I mean, at the start of the season, he had just a 10% target share, and then we saw by the end of the season, first half of the season, 10% target share. Second half, 20% target share. Every single metric that you can look at when it comes to, yards, every single metric when you can look at, what Andrews did over the season, it basically doubled from the start to the end. And I think that, Andrews had a shoulder injury that no one really talked about coming into the year, and I think that might have fucked him up. It might have just messed him up. And, we're now looking at, I think coming into this year, you should expect second half Mark Andrews. And if you expect second half Mark Andrews, he's going at an extreme discount. I mean, Mark Andrews finished as the tight end 6 last year, even though with his horrendous start, and he's going as the tight end 7th and the 89th overall player. So that's an 8-9 round turn player. I'm pretty in on Mark Andrews. He's still Lamar Jackson's favorite target and is still his favorite first read. And listen, Andrews catches touchdowns. He had 11 receiving touchdowns last year. He showed last year that he doesn't need volume necessarily to be successful because he is that guaranteed touchdown player. He's basically single-handedly keeping Zay Flowers from being fantasy relevant consistently. There were games last year where Andrews only caught 2 passes, but he scored a touchdown and he finished with 12 PPR points. And that's good for a tight end. Andrews has, I think, a very high ceiling for a tight end. But his floor is just a little lower than you might want. Because as I said, he had games last year down the stretch where only 2 receptions. If he didn't catch the touchdown, he would have finished with 4.2 points. And I think that's the only red flag with Andrews is his floor is 4.2 points. But his ceiling is Trey McBride, Brock Bowers numbers. So I'm into Andrews. I'm even an A- just because he's a really good, I think he's really undervalued because of that start last year. But I do acknowledge that he's probably going to have dud games